Hotel World. This your brother Matthew Daniels, aka Ampu, aka The Chosen Few, aka The Real Bookworm. I'm not a bookworm, I'm the real bookworm. Make sure you get it right. And as always, world, may your name live on forever, and may your memory never die. Hotel, cheers to that. Look, I got something crazy for y'all today. This is Procopius, The Secret History. Now, I did a video on my YouTube channel, The Chosen Few, where I read some of the beginning portions of this book. And so what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to pick up where I left off, and I'm going to tell more of the story. I'm going to read more of the story, and I'm going to give you guys some context to explain what's actually going on. So what I want you to do, I want you to go to my YouTube channel, The Chosen Few. Few spelled P-H-E-W. It's all one word, The Chosen Few. Scroll down for a bit, and you're going to find a video called The Whore and the Cuckold of the 16th Century. Right? The Whore and the Cuckold of the 6th Century. Now, real briefly, then I'm going to go into the text. I don't want to have to go over that entire video, but I'm going to tell you what I talked about. Procopius was an historian, and he lived in the 500s CE, right? So he lived about, around 1400, 1500 years ago. And so he was a royal historian. He wrote the histories during that time. And so what Procopius did in this document called The Secret History, he wrote all of the things that the powerful people and the emperor and the emperor's wife, all of the vile, wicked, salacious things that they wanted to keep hidden. He wrote these in a document called The Secret History that was only supposed to be released after his death, because he knew that if it was released while he was still alive, of course, he would be tortured, right? Imagine if you're living under a emperor or under a king where you don't have the rights that you have right now in American society in 2020, and you tell all of the wicked, evil, salacious details of the emperor's wife and the emperor's powerful cohorts, right? You're not going to make it. They're just going to kill you. They're just going to die. And in some nations, they'll do that to you right now today. So y'all understand the concept. So what he's talking about is, and what I'm going to be going into that I talked about in the first video, he talks about one of Emperor Justinian's. He was the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire at the time, right? He talks about one of Emperor Justinian's main generals, a man named Belisarius. And Belisarius had a wife named Antonia. Now, Antonia was the whore. Belisarius, he was the cuckold. She was cheating on him with a man named Theodosius, right? And so I want you to go back and watch that video. I'm going to pick up where I left off, okay? So where I left off was one of their servants, a servant girl named Macedonia. She ended up telling Belisarius that his wife had been cheating on him. Okay, so we're going to pick up the story where Belisarius finds out from a slave girl, from a servant girl, that his wife has been cheating on him. And we're going to look at how this story progresses. This is crazy, man. All right. In Syracuse, when Belisarius had conquered Sicily, this woman made her master swear the most dread oaths never to betray her to her mistress, and then blurted out the whole story to him, corroborated by the testimony of two slave boys whose task was to look after the bedchamber. So they're talking about how this slave girl, Macedonia, told Belisarius, and she had it confirmed by two slave boys whose duty it was to watch over the bedchamber and take care of the bedchamber of Belisarius and his wife Antonia. And so she tells them all the sort of details that, hey, you know that God Theodosius, who is your spiritual son, who lives with you and who you have been taking care of? Well, guess what? He's been banging up your wife, right? He's been banging up your wife. This is what's going on. I can't hold it any longer. But she was afraid of Antonia, so she told him, she made him swear an oath that he would never reveal where he got this information from, because she knew that there would be retaliation and retribution. On hearing this, Belisarius ordered some of his retainers to deal with Theodosius once and for all. Theodosius, however, heard of this in time and fled to Ephesus. For most of Belisarius's retainers, bearing in mind his swiftly changing moods, thought it more expedient to be in favor with the wife than the husband. So they betrayed the instructions then given to them regarding Theodosius. So what they're saying is, when Theodosius found out that the story had been exposed and Belisarius wanted him punished and killed for what he did, he fled to a city named Ephesus. And the individuals that Belisarius had told to capture and kill Theodosius, they didn't carry out the order. They let him escape because they knew that he was very fickle of mind, and they knew that Antonia, his wife, pretty much ran everything. So they was like, look, this your wife's lover. She don't want us to kill this guy, and we're more afraid of her than we are of you. So we're going to totally just disregard that order. And they let Theodosius escape to the city of Ephesus. And when Constantine, not the Emperor Constantine, and when Constantine saw how distressed Belisarius was by what had happened, he expressed his complete sympathy, adding the remark, if it were I should have destroyed the woman rather than the lad. When this came to Antonia's ears, she kept her indignation against him secret, waiting for the right moment to display her hatred against him, for she was as a scorpion and concealed her feelings accordingly. So they're saying that one of Belisarius' trusted men, Constantine, he told him, he was like, hey, look, man, I heard about what's going on. If I was you, I would punish her. She's your wife. You should punish her. Not the lad, not Theodosius. She the one that cheated on you. Your wife did. And so when Antonia heard that he made these remarks that he should actually punish the wife, she immediately began plotting in her mind to get even with Constantine for speaking out against her in this manner. Because Antonia was a beast. She wasn't to be played with. A little while later, either by magic or by fawning, she convinced her husband that there was no truth in the girl's accusation, and he at once invited Theodosius to return and agreed to hand over Macedonia and the slave boys to his wife. She first cut out the tongues of all three, we are told, then carved them up into little bits, which she dropped into sacks and then threw into the sea with utter nonchalance. Assisted in all this unholy business by one of the household servants called Eugenius, the man who had been instrumental in the monstrous treatment of Silverius. So what they're saying is, after a while, Antonia had convinced her husband, Belisarius, that, look, man, this girl, whoever told you this, they lied. I haven't been cheating on you with Theodosius. So Belisarius, and I'm going to tell you, in the first video I explained, he actually caught them in the act, right? He caught them in the act of having sex in the basement. But she lied her way out of it. And so after he heard all of this information, she lied her way out of it again. And Belisarius being gone, a lot of people speculated that maybe she was using magic to have his mind going like that, right? But what he did was he actually invited his wife's lover, Theodosius, to return to the house and live with them again. And he broke his oath with the servant girl that told him the information, right? And handed her over to his wife, Antonia, along with the two slave boys who tried to tell him the truth. And the first thing Antonia did, she had their tongues cut out, right? Then she had them cut up into little pieces, threw the little pieces into individual sacks, and tossed the sacks into the river. So this is the thanks they got for trying to expose the adulterous relationship. A little while later, Belisarius was persuaded by his wife to kill Constantine too, the man who's... Hey, so the guy who told Belisarius, look, don't be mad at Theodosius. He don't owe you nothing. Your wife. It's like, you know how it is. If an individual is in a relationship and then the person that's in their relationship, they cheat. So you want to go out and you want to beat up the person that they cheated with, and your friends try to tell you, bro, you really need to get at your woman or fam or sis. You really need to get at your man because he's the one that cheated on you. She's the one that cheated on you. That's how Constantine did. So after Antonia got her hands on the ones that snitched on her, the servant girl and the two slave boys, then she convinced Belisarius that he should kill Constantine for making them remarks about it. Right? Man. But it was at this very time that the affair of Presidius and the daggers took place, as has been described by me in the preceding account. Constantine would have been acquitted, but Antonia would not relent until he had paid the ultimate until he had paid the penalty for the comment I have just mentioned. By his acquiescence, Belisarius brought on himself the bitter hostility of the emperor and of the leading Romans one and all. So Belisarius gave in to his wife, although everybody was around him telling him, don't kill Constantine for that. He's a loyal soldier. And your wife, she cheated on you. All he was doing was tell you to hold her accountable because that was your wife. But Belisarius, listening to his wife, he killed his partner. He killed his partner. He had his partner Constantine killed. Right? And then because of that, the Emperor Justinian, he lost favor with the Emperor Justinian, and with a lot of other powerful Romans, he lost favor with them too, because they was like, bro, that's nonsense, man. It's nonsense. Your wife got your mind gone, fam. She got your mind gone. So then did it come to pass. Theodosius, however, sent word that he would be unable to come to Italy, where Belisarius and Antonia were staying at the time, unless Photius was got out of the way. For Photius was temperamentally quick to take offense if anyone else had more influence than he with any person. So Photius was Antonia's son by another man that she was sleeping with before she got with Belisarius, right? So Photius is Antonia's son and is Belisarius's stepson. So when they invited Theodosius back, Theodosius was like, hey, look, I won't come back unless Antonia gets rid of her son, because Photius didn't like Theodosius, because he realized how bad he was making his mama look, you know, tainting the family name. So now he's demanding that this woman get rid of her son, and this man Belisarius get rid of his stepson, so he can come back and continue sleeping with Antonia behind Belisarius's back, right? So I wonder if she's going to get rid of her son for her lover, right? Her adulterous lover. But in the case of Theodosius and his entourage, he had just cause for choking with rage. He himself, though he was a son, found himself continuing for nothing, while his rival enjoyed great power and was becoming immensely wealthy. It is said that at Carthage and Ravenna, he had purloined as much as 100 centuriae of gold from the two palaces, which he was privileged to administer on his own responsibility and with full powers. When Antonia learned of Theodosius' refusal, she made persistent attempts to trap the boy and pursued him with murderous plots until she succeeded in forcing him to leave Italy and proceed to Byzantium, as he could no longer risk falling into her traps, and in persuading Theodosius to join her in Italy. So what Antonia did when Theodosius refused to come back and continue the adulterous relationship, she sent people to kill him, right? But she really sent the people to kill him to show him, bro, you ain't got nowhere to hide. Either you come back, and continue to sleep with me behind my husband Belisarius' back, or I'm just going to have somebody kill you where you at, right? And so Theodosius was like, damn, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. So eventually when he realized he couldn't escape Antonia because she sent the hitman after him, he decided to come back to live with Antonia and Belisarius, right? This woman is crazy. There she enjoyed to the full both the company of her lover and the blindness of her husband, and a little later returned to Byzantium escorted by them both. So eventually Antonia got what she wanted. Theodosius came back, so she had her lover, and Belisarius allowed him to come back, and she had her husband, who was acting like he was totally blind to the fact that Theodosius was banging up his wife. I mean, why would she even want him to come back so bad? Think about it, Belisarius, and this is like a real story. This what people really went through this. It's crazy, bro. In the capital, Theodosius was in agony of fear through the knowledge of his guilt, and his mind was perturbed, for he saw no possibility at all of averting suspicion, as he realized that Antonia could no longer keep her passion out of sight or give vent to it in secret, but rather, on the contrary, was perfectly happy to be an avowed adulteress and to be spoken of as such. So he again betook himself off to Ephesus and adopting the customary tonsure, he himself arose amongst the monks, as they are called. So Theodosius was in a very bad spot, right? If he didn't come back and continue to have sex with with Antonia, she was going to have him killed. If he came back and continued to have sex with with Antonia, and he was utterly exposed, Belisarius was going to kill him. So he was trying to sleep with Antonia like secretly on the sly. But Antonia didn't even care anymore. She didn't care who knew it. She didn't care who talked about it. She was just enjoying the fact that she could have her lover and her husband all at the same time. Wild thinking woman. So after a certain amount of time, Theodosius was like, damn, man, you trying to get me killed, man. Yeah, I don't mind having sex with you, but let's at least keep it a secret. And then Antonia was like, to hell with that. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. You going to accept it, and my husband going to accept it. So what Theodosius did, he once again, he ran. He ran back to Ephesus, and man, the man was so out of options at this point. He made himself a monk. He enrolled as a monk to like give his life over to some kind of monastic type of lifestyle, so that hopefully Belisarius and Antonia couldn't reach him and they wouldn't kill him. And he was like, man, I'm just gonna end my life. I'm not even gonna do what I want to do anymore. I'm just gonna give my life over to the monastery and become a monk. Theodosius was going through it, man. At this, Antonia became completely demented, and changing her dress and her whole manner of life to the style of those in mourning. She wandered continually about the house, wailing, shrieking, and lamenting, even in the presence of her husband. What a good thing had been lost to her life. How faithful, how charming, how sweet-natured, how full of energy. And the translator made a comment that the statement of she was saying how Theodosius was full of energy, that was a sexual innuendo, right? What she was really saying was she felt so, she was mourning. She was like, bro, man, this dude here, Theodosius, he can go and go and go and go and go. He was full of energy. It was a sexual innuendo. So after he left, she changed her dress. And she acted like she went in the morning. She was like, oh, can't live without Theodosius. You know what I'm saying? Theodosius is blowing her back out. Theodosius was blowing her back out. She didn't even, man, with Theodosius went to make herself a monk. She didn't even want to live no more, or at least that's how she was acting, right? Because he was so full of energy. Finally, she even dragged her husband into these lamentations and made him join in. Anyway, the unfortunate man began weeping and crying aloud for his beloved Theodosius. Later, he even approached the emperor, appealing both to him and the empress until he persuaded them to fetch Theodosius back, and he was as he was indispensable to his household and always would be. So Antonia, and this is why I called it the whore and the cuckold, bro. This is why I named it that, right? This woman, this woman is mourning her lover running away and becoming a monk, right? And she actually gets Belisarius to moan and lament the Theodosius leaving as well. So now just imagine how crazy this man look. You got Theodosius in the house living with you. You're taking care of him. He banging up your wife. Then when he leaves, you're begging for him to come back. You're begging. It's like you're begging for him to come back and continue to blow your wife's back out. Bro, this is insane. I see why Procopius was like, hey, I cannot release this book. I cannot release this book while I'm still alive, man, because if I just expose all this, hey, Belisarius, Antonia, they already killers. They already killing people. Man, I'm not going to make it. But the future needs to know this. And I thank you, Procopius, for documenting this. And I want y'all to thank the Real Bookworm for exposing this story to y'all, because this is interesting, right? This is real interesting. This is why I be reading these kind of books. This is like, man, this type of stuff you see on TV. So Belisarius, he actually goes to the Emperor Justinian and his wife, right? And begs them to go get Theodosius and bring him back to the house, consequently, so he can continue to blow his own wife's back out. Damn shame. Theodosius, however, flatly refused to leave Ephesus, insisting that he was determined to give unswerving obedience to the monastic discipline. This was a downright lie. The moment Belisarius left Byzantium, he planned to join Antonia superstitiously, and join her he did. So at first, Theodosius refused, saying no, he wanted to devote his life to the monastery. He wanted to stay being a monk. But really, he just didn't want Belisarius to kill him for what he was doing. So what he did, he waited for Belisarius to go on another war campaign because he was a general. And then he met back up with Antonia and got right back into the filthy relationship, salacious relationship. For very soon, Belisarius accompanied Photius, his stepson, was on his way to resume hostilities against Crossorius. But Antonia stayed behind, a thing she had never done before, to prevent her husband from being alone and coming to his senses and from treating her magic with contempt and seeing her for what she was. It was her invariable custom to accompany him to all parts of the world. So they're saying that on this next war campaign that Belisarius went on, Antonia stayed behind because she wanted to meet up with Theodosius, right, her lover. And they said that that was unlike her because normally she went everywhere in the world that Belisarius went because the theme was that she was into magic and she had his mind so gone that he accepted the stuff that I'm reading to and that I'm explaining to you guys. She used magic to keep him in that state. And so she never wanted to let him get away from her for too long of a time because the magic may fade and he may come to his senses and realize just how much of a bullshit ass wife that she was, right? And in order that Theodosius might be able to resume his association with her, she was impatient to get Photius out of the way. To this end, she urged some of her husband's retainers to torment and insult him continually, never missing an opportunity, while she herself wrote almost every day, pouring out slanders in an endless stream and making the boy the target for every weapon. So she turned on her own son because Theodosius didn't want to come back while her son was there. So she turned on her own son, right, to get her son ran off so that her lover could return. Under this treatment, Photius perforce resolved to use slander against his mother. And when a man arrived in Byzantium with the news that Theodosius was secretly staying with Antonia, he at once took him into Belisarius' presence, adjuring him to tell the whole story. When Belisarius learned the truth, he was beside himself with fury, and prostrated himself before Photius' feet and employed the boy to avenge him. Monstrously ill, used as he was by those from whom he least expected. So basically what ended up happening was Photius and Belisarius, they went on the war campaign. Photius got word that Theodosius had come back and he was banging up Antonia again. So when he heard this, he brought the man who said this to Belisarius. He told Belisarius went through the same song and dance. Oh man, that's crazy. I can't stand this. So Belisarius basically said, look, Photius, I'm not your real father, but I'm your stepfather. I've been taking care of you. You don't even remember your original father, and he never did anything for you. So I'm really like your father, and you're at the age where you should avenge me, right? So he told Photius that he should avenge him by killing Theodosius, right? He basically convinced him to do that. So we're going to skip down. In reply to this, Photius agreed to give all the help he could, though he was afraid it might cost him dear. He had precious little confidence in his stepfather's swiftly changing moods towards his wife, for a great many things worried him, especially what had happened to Macedonia. In view of this, the two swore to each other the most dread oaths that are used among the Christians and are recognized as such, that they would never betray each other, even in situations of the most desperate danger. So Photius was like, look, I want to avenge you, right? And I want to go deal with Theodosius, but bro, when Macedonia and the two slave boys told you what my mom was doing, you turned on them and you had them killed. Then when Constantine tried to give you some good advice, you turned on him and you had him killed. So you fickle, your mood changes. Right now you're saying you want Theodosius to be dealt with, but then if my mom talks to you about it and she is upset and she wants to kill me, you're going to let her kill me. So he didn't really trust Belisarius because Belisarius was fickle, right? And he was easily swayed by his wife. So he made him swear by a Christian oath that the Christians swear that he would not turn on Photius if he took on this mission to take out Theodosius, right? Let me see. Do I want to read that? Yeah. To make the attempt there and then struck them as inadvisable. But when Antonia arrived from Byzantium and Theodosius went to Ephesus, that would be the moment for Photius to appear at Ephesus and take possession both of Theodosius and of the money with the minimum trouble. So they was like, don't attack him now while he's actually with Antonio. Wait for Antonio to go to one place, Theodosius to go to another one, go back to Ephesus to handle some business, and I want you to spring your trap on Theodosius in Ephesus, and that'll be the simplest way to capture him and punish him. Now at this very time, when they had launched their all-out attack on Persian territories, the incident involving John the Cappadocian happened to be taking place in Byzantium, as I explained in the preceding narrative. In that account, I confess, fear led me to suppress one fact. The deception of John and his daughter Antonia was no casual occurrence. It was backed by a multitude of oaths, the most terrible form of declaration in Christian eyes, assuring them that no treachery was proposed towards them. When her object had been achieved, and she felt much more secure in the affections of the empress, she dispatched Theodosius to Ephesus, while she herself, anticipating no difficulty, set out for the east. Belisarius had just captured the fortress at Ciceronion when someone informed him of her imminent arrival. He instantly dismissed everything else from his mind and withdrew his forces. It happened that, as I made clear in my earlier account, certain other events which had taken place in the Roman camp disposed him to retreat at this time. But the information now received induced him to take this step much more precipitately. As I stated, however, at the start of this book, at that time I judged it too dangerous to disclose all the reasons for what had occurred. The result of this move was that an accusation was leveled at Belisarius by Romans everywhere of having sacrificed the most vital interests of the state to his own domestic concerns. For at the start, he had been so incapacitated by his wife's waywardness that he positively refused to go thus far beyond the bounds of the Roman Empire, determined as he was that the moment he learned that his wife had arrived from Byzantium, he must be able to turn back and catch and punish her there and then. For this reason, he ordered Aretas and his men to cross the river Tigris, and they, having accomplished nothing worthy of mention, departed for home, while he himself was careful not to go even a day's march beyond the Roman frontier. So they're basically saying that he, Procopius is revisiting something he told in one of his earlier history. He didn't give all the details in his earlier history because he wanted to save that stuff for his secret history, because he knew if he told the entire truth, he would have a target on his back. So apparently, at one point, Belisarius was going off to war, and he was supposed to lead his troops past the Roman frontier, outside of the Roman borders, and go on some military campaigns on behalf of the state. But when he learned that his wife had made it to Byzantium and he had a whole lot of negative and conflict going on at home with his wife, he left his troops, right? And he turned around and he went back home so he could try to deal with his wife. And so he had a lot of issues with the Romans in power at that time, because they was like, bro, you put your own personal business above the state. You should have did your job as a general, and you should have finished out that goddamn war campaign instead of running home to deal with your wayward wife. So what Procopius did here, he had a quick sidebar to drop some more salacious details that he was afraid to release in his regular histories. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop the narrative there. I'm gonna end the narrative there, right? But what we see as in the continuation is, man, Belisarius' mind was gone, man. He may actually have been under some kind of magic spell, right? This man banging up your wife, and everybody that try to open your eyes to it and tell you about it, you let your wife convince you to kill. Then when this guy flees and he goes to be a monk, your wife is crying and begging for him to come back, and then you start crying and begging for him to come back. You go to the emperor and you go to the empress. That's crazy, man. So I'm going to do another video at a later date about this, Procopius, the secret history. But I just wanted to go into a little bit more of that story, right? Because you guys know, like, how I like to do it. I like to go, I've read a lot of books, and I read a lot of books. And so I like to change the monotony. I don't want to just stay in one time period in one civilization for too long. I like to bounce around. I like to give you guys, you know, some Greek history, some Roman history, some Egyptian history, some Jewish history, some Mesopotamian history, some American history, right? Some British history, some Italian history, some African history, some Congo history. I like to give you guys, you know, from different times. I like to go 4,000 years into the past. I like to go 1,000 years into the past. I like to go 500 years into the past. I like to go 2,000 years into the past. I just like to keep it fresh and bounce it around. So that was Procopius, the secret history. Some more information on the horde, the cuckold of the 6th century. Now, the whole book is salacious material. The whole book is salacious material. And it's not just about Belisarius and Antonia. He also gives us some salacious material information about Emperor Justinian as well. And I'm going to go into that in a later video. But as always, I want to just do a little quick commercial break, pay a few bills. If you guys like these videos, if you find any kind of benefit out of these videos, you like how I read these stories, you like how I give my breakdowns, if I'm giving you information that you find valuable, and you want to support me and you want to support what I have going on, all you need to do to support me is I am an author. I write books. I have 2 books out right now, and I'm working on my 3rd book now. Okay, so if you want to support the real bookworm, excuse me, this is what you do. Go to Amazon.com, right? Go to Amazon.com, and you can read the synopsis of the books there in case you're wondering what the books are about, right? I want you to go to Amazon.com. I want you to type in Suicide Note by Matthew Daniels. Type it in like that because there may be some other books called Suicide Note, and those books may be more popular than mine, so they may come up first. So if you tag my name in with it, my book will come up. And this is what the cover look like, so you know what you're looking for. Type in Suicide Note by Matthew Daniels, right? And type in Thicker Than Water by Matthew Daniels. Thicker Than Water by Matthew Daniels. And you can purchase my books right there on Amazon. If you like ebook versions of books, right, you can also get the ebook version on Amazon as well. You will see you can select the format. You can get it in paperback or you can get it in ebook form, however you guys like to read books. If you're on Facebook, you can go to my Facebook page, Everything Matthew Daniels. Everything Matthew Daniels. And you can go to the shop section on my Facebook fan page, and you can order the books right there directly from me. So you can go to Amazon, you can get the paperback, the ebook. You can go to my Facebook page and you can order the ebook, and I'll send it to you. And if you want to sign, just leave a message. When you're filling out the purchase order, you can send me a message and you can ask me to sign it, and I'll be more than happy to send you an autographed copy. I have plenty on hand. Right? And what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to go to my YouTube channel. If you're not already on my YouTube channel, because I plan on posting this video in several places, go to The Chosen Few, spelled as one word, and few is spelled P-H-E-W. The Chosen Few, right? Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can know whenever I post a new video. If you have any video ideas, right, feel free to share them with me. If there's a book you've been wondering about that you thought about reading, or a book that you read and you want to get my opinion on it, if I've read it, if I can access the information and look over it, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. Or you can talk to me about the information that I'm reading right now. Ask me questions. I have read this entire book, right? I read it like twice so far, right? So I'm fully aware of what this book is actually talking about. So you can ask me about that book as well. It may be a while before I do another video concerning that, because I'm probably, when I do my next video, I'm going to go into another book. It's just how the real bookworm likes to operate. So thanks for watching. Go out there and get those books. Support me. Support what I got going on. Let's try to get the real bookworm as the #1 author in America. I need you guys' help for that. All right. So this your brother Matthew Daniels, aka Ampu, aka The Chosen Few, aka the real bookworm. I'm not a bookworm world. I'm the real bookworm. Make sure you get it right. And as always, may your name live on forever, and may your memory never die. Hotel, cheers to that. Peace, I'm out.